Today we're talking about Ashi Garami. If you saw my last video and somehow you have to deal with this, it's either you did really good or you did really bad. But don't worry, we're here to help you out. Hi, before we start this video, I would like to define a few of the terminologies that I'm going to be using for this and the next few videos in the series. So the first term that we're going to be using is knee line. It's the imaginary line connecting your knees or your opponent's knees. So your knee line is an imaginary line that connects both of your knees, and your opponent's knee line is the imaginary line that connects both their knees. The inside leg is the bent or leg that is of your opponent that's situated inside, in between your two legs. While the outside leg is the one that goes around the outside of your body. The center line is an imaginary line that's vertical from top of your head to the bottom of your toes that separates the left half and the right half of your body. Not to be confused with the center line that separates the top half to your bottom half. That would be your waist. The foot on your hip acts as a wedge. That's the next term, wedge. What it does is it holds your upper leg in place so that you are able to create enough torque or enough leverage to complete a submission maneuver. The next term is opposite force. It's like a wedge. I use the example of a piece of paper. If you wanted to rip a piece of paper, you cannot do it with just one hand. So there are two ways to rip a piece of paper. If you put it flat, it's either you put the paper flat on the table, hold it down with one hand, and use your other hand to rip, or take two hands, one hand pushes and the other hand pulls. When you hold the one side of the paper down and you rip it, that's like a wedge. When you do the push and pull, that's opposite force. Opposite force is what happens when you push and pull at the same time. Leg entanglement. Any position where your leg is caught between both of your opponent's legs and vice versa, and there is a submission that is threatening. Ashi Garami is Japanese for leg entanglement, but is used as a specific position, is one of the main and basic leg entanglement positions, as well as 50-50, 411, saddle, honey hole, whatever that's called. The one with many names, inside sankaku. You have a single leg X is not an entanglement. A lot of leg entanglement is more of a guard, because there's no footlock in a single leg. There's no immediate footlock in a single leg X. You have to do a sweep first. And when you sweep somebody from single leg X, you land in Ashi Garami anyway. When I say foot flat in the mat, that's the next term, foot flat on the mat. I mean when your foot is flat on the mat, like that. I think there's a picture above. And then the final term is heel exposure. So when your foot is flat on the mat, your heel is not exposed because your entire foot is flat on the mat. Heel exposure means that you got your opponent to go on his tiptoes or something similar. That is called heel exposure. Enough exposure so that you can get underneath your opponent's heel is called heel exposure. And now that I've done the terms, let's proceed with the video. Hi. So here I am attacking Todd from the Ashi Garami. This means, if you're basing it on the position from before, single leg X, this means I was at the bottom and I was able to get the sweep. So what do you do from here now? So now what? The first thing you have to know is you have to have a good control of his foot, right here, his foot. And the foot on the hip will remain as the wedge. So you have to make sure it's very tight on the hip of your opponent. These two knees need to be pinched together to form a very tight sort of wedgie seal. And then the best way to finish the attack from here to get a foot lock is to try to belly down as much as possible. So go to the side as much as possible. All right? Now, there's one little detail that people don't really teach you because something you figure out from finish the foot lock. This is Todd's foot. This is his toes. Most people do this, you know, which is correct, but it's also more difficult. See, because then you'd have to use a lot of torquing on your back, and you have to make a lot of effort to finish the foot lock. So the little detail that I'm here to show you is to have his toes right on your armpit. This will create enough torque that you don't even have to go around. You can just hold it like this, hold him like in this calf, and you'll get it. And it's very tight because you're using the joint of your armpit and you're crushing his toes like so. And just a little bit of arching your back will help you get the tap. So remember all those things. So from here, you pin the knees together, you go to the side, you have the wedge on his hip, and it's a little bit of a little arch of your back will get the tap. Works the same way for a heel hook as well, but instead of this, you have to go underneath, and it's tight. But remember, as much as possible, get his toes in your armpit. That is how you get the finish. So you messed up. You're now in your opponent's Ashi Garami. Well, the first thing you got to remember is that you have to keep your foot flexed like so. This prevents, but only temporarily, you from getting foot lock. If you hold it, flex it and hold it like this. But you can only hold it for a small amount of time because it is a big strain on your calves. So this is why you need to move very quickly on the next thing. First thing, you have to get your hand and put it here, or hold his knee, right? Hold somewhere the knee of his inside leg. And then you take the foot on your hip, you put it on the ground, and you sit on it. And you hip out, and you hip out, and use your foot to kick, and you hip out. And if you're able to sit on his foot on this side and get your other butt cheek on his foot, you're already out. You're already out. So the next thing you can do is you can try to find a way to get on your knee and get in a better position or anything. But basically, you'll be sitting on his foot, the foot that was on your hip, and you'll be hipping your way out to a better position. From here, you can try to kill this. I would think about sitting down for a bit, holding on to his leg, but still trying to get up, like looking good, do this, and then pass, or however you'd like to do it. From there you can either kick it back towards you and sit on his inside leg, and then you can try to get up from there and get here. And where you are right now is called the side mount. Not to be confused with side control. You're mounted on him, he's on his side, that's side mount. From here, he's in between either facing down to get into back mount or facing this way to get into full mount. Either way, you're out of trouble. And you're welcome.